And time now for a look at the world of science. And we're joined by our science editor, Julia Seeger. Hi, Julia.
Hello, Angela.
33 states in the US are suing Meta platforms and also its Instagram part as well. They're accusing the tech giant of fueling a youth mental health crisis by making the social media platforms addictive. Tell us more about that.
Well, first of all, it's not the first time that a complaint is filed against Meta in that sense, but this time around, the attorneys general of 33 states in the United States, including California and New York, and 8 more should follow suit, are accusing Meta of not only repeatedly misleading the public about the dangers of this platform, but also, and maybe more importantly, of knowingly inducing young children to use those platforms in a compulsive and addictive manner. Now, all of this, so maybe let's look at the complaint. I quote, they say, Meta has harnessed powerful and unprecedented technologies to entice, engage, and ultimately ensnare youth and teens. Now, much of this, Angela, is actually stemming from the revelations of Frances Hogan. She's a former data scientist turned whistleblower who decided to release private research information from Meta in 2021, and it's now known as the Facebook Papers. And so this actually showed that Meta actually knew that Instagram was addictive and that it was increasing anxiety and depression in kids. And it's important to understand that at the heart of these accusations is really this idea that Meta is making money on the backs of the mental health of our teens. Now, Meta research papers actually revealed that it's their economic model that's to blame here because they make money on engagement, so they have algorithms that are going to push content and really push people to try to scroll and keep on being engaged as long as possible. So sometimes you're going to be on a website, on a news website, for instance, you're going to scroll and it's going to stop at one point. It never stops on social media. And they also say that they know that the algorithms are harming young girls specifically. And here they actually have data. They say that consuming content on IG led to 13% girls feeling suicidal, 17% developing eating issues, and 32% feeling like they have a body image issue. Now, this is partly linked to the like button that we all know. Of course, it's thumbs up on Facebook and the heart that we all know on Instagram. And this is coming at a time, and they kept this like button, at a time when teenagers are really needing a huge need for approval, right? And this is really pushing them to compare one another. They're also pointing to the engagement-based ranking. This is when the algorithm is going to reward a post because of the engagement of the likes, the comments, and the shares. So that means that when it has strong reactions, that's going to push kids to, of course, have more divisive content. It's going to push hate speech also and incite violence. And last but not least, they're pointing to another tool on Instagram called the Explore page. This is a curation of posts of that might interest you coming from other users. Well, it tends to push the same content that you may like, and sometimes harmful content. And here they're citing the example of the suicide of a 14-year-old British girl, and they explained that she took her life after repeatedly being in contact with information linked to suicide and self-injury.
And how has Meta responded to this news?
Well, of course, they say, as always, they say that they're disappointed by the lawsuit, that they would have preferred to work hand in hand with lawmakers for the sake of our kids. But this is quite ridiculous because there's been calls for Meta to change their algorithms for years now. But you have to understand that what we're asking them pretty much is to get rid of their economic model because it's linked to engagement and kids. You have to understand that on Instagram, 40% of users are under the age of 22, and any brand is actually interested in kids. Why? Well, because they're an appealing demographic target, because they're more impressionable, but also because if you can get their attention at a young age, you can then boost and solidify what we call brand loyalty. So this is really interesting in that attorneys are pointing to Instagram, but they're all also looking to future ventures of Meta. Meta became Meta because it wants to create the metaverse. And what they're saying is that there's no reason to think that Mark Zuckerberg is going to create a new bubble of expression for kids in the metaverse that is going to be, taking care of our kids, that's going to be safe and for both our teenagers and our kids.
And this isn't the only
No, of
such
course.
thing against the social media company. We've had similar challenges against TikTok,
All social
YouTube.
media platforms pretty much have this same way of functioning with those algorithms. You have Meta, of course, but you have ByteDance, TikTok, and Google, YouTube as well. They're facing hundreds of lawsuits filed on behalf of the well-being of children. But I think you have to understand that this complaint specifically by Meta is also a way for authorities in the United States to try to patch holes that are left by the U.S.'s Congress' inability to pass new laws and regulations to protect our kids online.
Okay, well, thanks very much. It's really interesting. Thanks very much. Julia Seeger there, our science editor.